driver's title in the wonderful setting of the Yas Marina. Well, we wanted it to come down to the end, didn't we?
We did.
Welcome, Johnny.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
It's good, but there's a 12-point gap. Is that too big?
Well, there are so many different scenarios that come into effect, which is Lewis Hamilton canny enough, obviously, canny enough to put Rosberg into sort of the play of the Red Bulls, and then is Rosberg going to take him out? There are so many different things. Then there's the racing that's going on itself, but we all know if Lewis wins and he finishes second or third, then it's done anyway. So all depends how hungry Lewis is probably going to be.
We were talking about this earlier, weren't we, in the build-up to P1, just about the Rosberg mindset. He's known he's had to finish, since the engine failure in Malaysia, he's known he's had to finish second all the way to take it home, and it almost looks like he's been that, and he's taken that conservative attitude into each race. Yeah. Could that hinder him?
I don't think so. Again, I think we spoke about it earlier on about nerves. Nerves are always at a certain level. It's the mindset that you have to do that can sort of interfere with everything you're doing in the car. But he just seems to do the same stuff day in, day out, and I think that is where he's got a much more strength going into this season. I think that will carry him through.
You mentioned it there, though, the chance of taking someone out. I mean, Lewis really needs to get on pole and get away, put an end to any of that discussion, and then let Nico worry about his own race with the Red Bulls behind him if that's how the grid pans out for the race tomorrow. You don't think he'd really take him out, do you?
I don't think so. I get Lewis. You do Lewis. He's always spoken since his karting days. It's all about going on the track and showing who is the fastest. That's what he's been doing in recent races, and he'll probably doing the same thing. Nico, do you really want to sort of have that sort of on your back as, that's the way you won the championship? It's happened before. And again, I've always said before, I remember a couple of years ago, say if I had that World Championship trophy and no one gave me a drive the following season, you'd be happy because you won that World Championship.
Someone said, was it Crofty, there might be a sandstorm coming tomorrow.
There's a good chance.
That might mix up a bit, mightn't it? Well, we'll see. A bit of wind around, I have to say. Yeah. Okay, right, let's hear from both of the Mercedes drivers.
Have you thought at all about how it might feel this weekend if it doesn't go your way? Have you let that into your head at all?
Not really, no. Come here to enjoy my weekend and focus on trying to do the best job I can as always.
The adrenaline will start rushing more and more through the weekend, as it always does on every race weekend. It's always exciting. It's always a great battle there, and it will be again this weekend.
How about if I said to you the odds are actually sort of more like 5-1, because 4 times you've won a race and Nico's been off the podium, so it sounds a little bit better that way.
Yeah, I guess there's lots of different ways you can swing it, but again, I've not really thought too much about it.
Well, that's definitely statistics that I haven't dug into. Because that's not going to, statistics like that are not going to make me faster this weekend.
Obviously, my job is to go out there and win, so that's really the first goal here. I mean, I've not won every time I've come here. The last couple of years, Nico has been on pole, and so that's my sole focus, is to make sure that that's not the case this weekend. And after that, I can't do anything about who's behind me.
I am where I am because of a certain approach that I've taken through the season, and that's been just keep it simple, take it race by race, go for the race wins, and that's what I'm going to do again this weekend.
It's not really been a spectacular year, but the best thing to do at the end of every year is to try and take the good things out of it, because there always are good things, and take that on with you and leave the junk behind.
Well, these are the permutations then. This is what Lewis needs to do if he wants to win the world title, and Nico needs to stop him doing. If Lewis wins, he needs Nico to be third. Lewis comes second, Nico needs to be sixth. Lewis comes third, Nico needs to be eighth. But if Lewis is fourth in the race, Rosberg is champion no matter where he finishes. Essentially, Rosberg on the podium, he is the world champion.
Johnny, I asked the question to Lewis in the drivers' press conference on Thursday with regards to how much responsibility, if he doesn't win this championship, will he take for himself, and how much will he blame it on reliability. Toto, in the team principals press conference earlier, was asked about the switching of the mechanics at the start of the season, which it seems that Lewis Hamilton has again put some emphasis on, but Toto was visibly annoyed when he was asked that question and kept repeating the outcome: I've got to look after 1,500 employees, etc., etc. Is he getting the excuses in early?
I think from Toto's perspective, perspective, I totally understand it, because he's sort of protecting the team. From a driver's perspective, you're in there to do that job effectively for yourself to win that World Championship. When there are sort of situations that are out of your control with reliability issues that he's had, maybe that's down to maybe some sort of human elements that have come into play. Maybe some mistakes have been done. But then there are the starts that have been sort of a bit of an issue as well. They seem to have got that sorted later in the season. Was there an issue? Maybe it should have been done a little bit earlier. That's one thing that Lewis seems to be alluding. There's a couple of things that seem to sort of come into effect. But overall, I think that's just the way life is. You know, the guys at home, you know, sometimes life isn't a simple thing. And I think this is just how that has played out this year. Nico has been that little bit more lucky, let's say, but that's the way it goes sometimes.
You've got a book coming out. Lewis has told us to wait for his book.
Yeah,
Do you think it'll sell more copies than yours in the end?
Well, I think so. If there's a proper story in there, of course, yes. But mine's about survival.
And it's available in all good bookshops
And
up until
online
Christmas.
retailers.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
And the Janet and John
Probably
font.
afterwards.
Nice big letters, right.
Yes.
This weekend it'll be the 8th running of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So here's all you need to know about this Yas Marina circuit.
Well, it's an impressive track, this. It's great to watch the cars go around under the lights. But what's it like to drive here? Do the drivers enjoy it?
I wouldn't say they really enjoy the circuit, but it's definitely a challenging track, and it's a technical circuit, which means you have to really let the car dance around under you, but keep it in check at the same time.
And you get some breeze blowing as the evening gets underway as well. Not so bad in the afternoon. The light's not really taking effect, but here's a great moment for Jenson Button. His family here, his mums and sisters are here, his friends are here, his old Brawn helmet as well, and the journey is the reward, is the inscription on it. Not much reward for Danny Kvyat. Left rear puncture, and that problem would come back to haunt him a little later on. Here's Jordan King. No grip out there for him.
No, new boy down at Manor finding it hard, but he wasn't alone. Felipe Massa spinning around as well in the Williams in turn 4, and even the best in the business, Lewis Hamilton, world champion, spinning round at exactly the same corner in the best car.
And while some weren't getting any grip, well, Romain Grosjean wasn't getting much use from his brakes either. The rear end stepping out of him, and into turn 1 he went, avoided the barrier, did very well. 26 minutes or thereabouts to go, and Lewis Hamilton puts in the fastest time of the FP1 session. It's a time that, as you can see, would be about 0.4 of a second quicker than his teammate Nico Rosberg. Rosberg couldn't improve. So into the evening session, conditions change, much more relevant, but Jenson Button can't get out because he's got a power unit change for his Honda, and this then happens to Danny Kvyat.
Yeah, so we questioned before whether it was driver error that possibly caused the puncture in FP1. That most certainly was, and there was something wrong in his car, and he didn't see through the rest of the session.
Locking up Jenson Button on the soft tyres, struggling a touch. Here's Lewis Hamilton on the ultra soft tyres, going fastest again, but only 700ths between him and his teammate. And then what happened to Sebastian Vettel?
Gearbox issue on the exit of turn 14, saw him out of the session with a few minutes to go. Not the best of starts of the weekend for Vettel and Ferrari. Yeah,
maybe Lewis Hamilton doesn't want Ferrari to have gearbox issues, because he needs people to come between himself and his teammate if he can go and win the race. But it's Hamilton 2, Rosberg 0 for today, but you don't get any points for practice. What do you get? Let's get the reaction of some of the drivers.
On top in both sessions today, how are you feeling in the car?
Really good. Session generally went relatively smoothly. No real issues. I think the first run in P2 kind of sucked a little bit. Didn't really get any laps. So did like 9 laps, but didn't do a time. But after that, managed to get in a fairly decent lap, and wasn't perfect, but a good feel of where the car was, and the long run was really strong.
Less than a tenth, though, between you two. Do you know where you'll find that tomorrow to get pole around here?
It's always going to be close, of course, and Lewis is driving great, and I'm going to dig deep tonight and try and find those extra hundreds in the computer or whatever, and try and nail the setup, and then let's see how it goes.
The long runs from Red Bull looked good as well. They matched you, if not slightly, a tiny bit ahead today. How much of a threat and how close do you think they are to you two?
I think it's as per usual. So Red Bull is close, and but also Ferrari was quick on one lap. So it's a bit difficult to say who's going to be the closest rival.
Do you think, as a team, you're pretty confident of locking out the second row again, which would be a good platform for Sunday?
I think we'll be tight. I think Ferrari is quite strong this weekend, but I'm pretty sure that we can be even stronger. So let's see tomorrow.
A lot of people talking about the Red Bulls getting amongst the Mercedes and affecting the world title. Can you do something as well, though, this weekend?
We hope so. I mean, you don't want to affect the outcome, but I want to have a strong race. We want to have a very, very strong last race, and if that means splitting them, even run in front of them, by however the race turns out, then that's good news. They are the absolute favourites again this weekend, so nothing has changed in that regard. The closer you can get, the better it is.
Well, Johnny, Nico closed that gap today from Lewis in the morning session. It was the more representative session in the afternoon, evening here. But pole here has only won twice out of the 7 races. So how important is it around this track?
Well, I think there's an issue. Getting pole, getting into the lead the first corner, you can sort of keep the race under control. From the guy who's behind, of course, once the DRS comes into effect, there's always that chance you can get the DRS job done as well as far as the overtaking goes. But of course, you've also got to worry about what's happening behind those two, because those Red Bulls, we always know in a race pace-wise, they're always okay. They've gone onto the heels of Nico in the past, but they haven't been able to get in front. Now, is this the opportunity they might be able to do it? Yeah, to turn one. That's the only time I think we're going to see them have a proper chance of getting in front.
Okay, it could be, I repeat, could be the last race of Jenson Button's career on Sunday, and Anthony sat down with him earlier this week.
So this will be your 305th Grand Prix start on Sunday. You've seen a lot change therefore in Formula 1 over the years, and what's been your favourite era?
Well, I think we all know. The people that drove them, what were the best cars.
You're going to say V10, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. That for me was the era. I mean, you could say yes, but there wasn't as much overtaking. But there was, when you look at it now. There was overtaking, and when you made the move, it was awesome. You didn't use DRS.
So the sound is important to you then? Okay, from inside the car?
Yeah. Nobody watches Formula 1 with the sound off. People say, would you wish you changed stuff in your career? And the only thing probably is a light-hearted one, is I wish I had announced that I was going to retire before the British Grand Prix. I think that's probably the only thing. But hey, you can't change things, you've got to live with it. And, I will be at the British Grand Prix next year.
Was there a point in your career where you felt, in your F1 career, where you felt you were deserving of an F1 championship?
Yeah.
Despite the equipment you were driving? I know everything came together in 2009, but you were surely driving at that potential at other points in your career as well.
Yeah, 2004, I would say. 2011. Probably as well. Yeah, there have been years where I feel I've got the maximum out of the car and been happy with everything I've achieved. This year's been an up and down year, and had some really good races, and the one that stands out is Austria. Qualifying in the wet and racing in the dry and being in second for a long time. That's definitely the moment from this year that I'll take away and remember from 2016 until the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, where I'm going to win.
Well, you can see more of that interview over the weekend. But, Johnny, I just wanted to say I'm so glad he's used the R word now, the retirement word. And he said in the press conference, I'm treating it like my last race. Hopefully everyone else will as well. I'm really glad, because otherwise he's going to go out of this sport with a whimper, and he deserves so much more than that.
Yeah, he does. He's a world champion. He's not just a guy who's sort of been here and sort of been just on the grid and been around. He's someone who's achieved so much. I met him as a youngster in 1989 when he was doing karting in Clay Pigeon down in Dorset, and you could just see even then there was this sort of specialness about him that just came through, and he got stronger and stronger and stronger. And it was wonderful finally to see all that hard work that John had sacrificed his dad, and of course then Jenson himself winning that world championship. And he's had some stonking races, even against the likes of Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso, for example.
He could learn from Felipe Massa. Maybe he closes the pit lane here, crashes out in front of the grandstand, so he can do one of those long
ones. So he gets a guard of honour down the pit lane during the race.
I'll put that too, actually. You did it deliberately, didn't you, Felipe? Just quickly, on Zach Brown, who's come into, couldn't be less Ron Dennis-like. What do you think he's going to do for the team?
Well, I tell you what, one thing he's very good at. He's been very, very smart how he's been able to get sort of sponsorship for Formula 1. basically around the track itself. His ability also is very good where he can attract sponsorship, let's hope, for McLaren and for the team. That is going to be such a big job for him, to give them that financial ability to sort of develop the car that gets them back into winning ways. He's a racer as well. He came over from America with a dream of being a Formula 1 driver. He understood he was pretty rubbish at that, and then he turned out to be able to get lots of sponsorship.
Very personable man he is too. But when we come back, we're going to show you what happened when a couple of weeks ago Martin Brundle went to visit Bernie's ranch in Brazil. Welcome back to the F1 show. Now, in the build-up to the race on Sunday, this second part of that fascinating interview between Martin Brundle and Bernie Ecclestone. Here's a little taster of what's to come.
We know the wheeling and the dealing, but Bernie as the person, we don't know much about.
Well, there's not a lot to know about me.
Well, of course
I'm a used car dealer.
Well, so am I, but I
was better than you.
Yeah, I have no doubt about that. I don't have a farm in Brazil.
We're all on board.
Let's go.
Okay.
I don't know what a coffee plan looks like.
Baby, where's all the cows?
The cows are just across the road. Once the coffee comes from the plantation, it goes inside this big structure where we wash the coffee and take all the impurity and process him a little bit. Era só pouquinho, Donizete. A gente vai entrar aí.
I hope that people really sort of appreciate I do what I say I'm going to do, whatever it might be. And I've got something that's kept me in good state for a long time. Don't get mad, get even. So if somebody does something bad to me, I wait.
Yeah, admitting to Martin that when he finishes, he'll be going into dairy farming.
Be interesting to doing that.
You can see that, by the way, of the race in the race show on Sunday. Lovely rapport between the two as well. Do you think we'll see Bernie here next year in the paddock?
I would not be surprised. Again, this is sort of something that he loves. He loves the wheelie deal part of it, and if he's still here, that's exactly what he's going to be doing.
But it is strange. I've seen him this weekend, and I saw him yesterday walking around on his own. And then
but he does that. He likes that. That's the attention that he's seeking at the same time. That's what's lovely about it. He's always after attention. If he's on his own, then people are saying, look, he's on his own. So exactly that comment. No, it'd be great if he is around. He'd be sort of playing the games that he always does.
All right, fair enough. Now, another story in the paddock that's been breaking over the weekend is that Manor is up for sale. Their owner, Stephen Fitzpatrick, spoke with Ted a few moments ago.
So we've been in discussions with some investors, or a series of different investor groups, for quite a few months. It's been no secret that we're open to the prospect of investment, just like every other team. But in the last couple of weeks, we've agreed terms with one investor group, and we're working through the transaction. So that's really all there is to say about it at this point.
Oh, fantastic! Okay, that's good news.
This is not we're in detailed discussions or thing. This is we have an investor group that we've agreed terms with, and we're working through it.
Right. Oh, good news. I mean, that's is it? Can I ask if they're in racing already or fresh to the market?
I can't talk about the specifics.
Despite we've been trying all weekend to get him to spill the beans, but it's not forthcoming. It's going to cost them $15 million US for the column 2 money that they're going to lose for next year. So you can understand, but as far as I understand it, I think they've been looking for a buyer for a while, and why wouldn't you? And you come into this, I think he's realising it's pretty expensive.
It is rather expensive, and it's a tough old thing to sort of get it right and sort of make this, progress. They've progressed, you have to say, brilliantly this year. The way that they've sort of responded to the criticism that was there beforehand. But of course, it's the next jump, and you need that investment to be able to do that. And this paddock is almost getting shorter and shorter and shorter as far as the gaps between front and back. And you've got to have that funding there to be able to move themselves up.
Heartbreaking for them, of course, the result for Sauber in Brazil with Felipe Nasser, that then pushed them back down the order again in the constructors. But driver-wise, if we're not, who would you see in those seats next year at Manor at the moment? Because there's those seats. Sauber, Ericsson's in. We're hearing rumours about who might join him at Sauber.
Yeah.
Who's going to be in those Manor seats? They need someone with money.
Well, I think that's always going to be sadly sort of the situation for I know Harriento is sort of still hanging around.
Do you think he'll be
Piers
back in?
Honeysett is still always here nearly every single race, so he's got a chance there. And of course, then you got Gutierrez as well, who is free and seems to have sort of a bag of gold at the same time. So that's something that may come their way. There was Verline. We've got to see exactly where he goes. There is tiny rumours that he's going to Sauber, so that's maybe going to open up that door as well. So that's where it's intriguing. But of course, the funding is so important to them, but it's not just the drivers, because that is not going to be enough to move them further up the pack.
But on the grid, they're an attractive team to go to then for some of those drivers.
I think they are. It's a Formula 1 team and they've done a very good job, but they just need to get a bit more funding there.
All right, well, we've had 7 races here so far in Abu Dhabi, but 2 men have dominated around this circuit.
We have 4 contenders. Who will be champion today as we leave the grid in Abu Dhabi? And now Sebastian Vettel wins in Abu Dhabi to be drivers' champion for 2010.
Sebastian Vettel, you are the world champion! The world champion, well done, enjoy it! You are the man!
Oh, thank you, boys.
I'll keep you updated on the gap.
Just leave me alone, I know what you're doing.
It's Kimi Räikkönen back on top as he wins the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. It is 3 in a row for Nico. He ends the season on a high.
Oh, awesome, guys. Thanks for the end to the season. It was really great.
For the first time since 1996, 2 teammates go into the final race to decide the title. Hamilton makes a great start from 2nd place, and he's way ahead of Nico Rosberg.
Losing engine power. Yeah, copy Nico, we can see it.
Oh no. It's not Rosberg, it's Lewis Hamilton, champion of the world in 2014.
Lewis, thank you very much for not letting or making the British public sweat. You are an absolute legend. Well done, mate.
World champion! Oh my God!
Well, this weekend, Nico Rosberg could join a very exclusive club. So exclusive, in fact, there are only 2 members, Damon and Graham Hill. They are, of course, the only father-son combination to have both been crowned world champions.
It's a pretty proud moment, you have to say, to be able to bring the 2 generations together like that is something quite special. And I know that Keke will be absolutely proud as a peacock of his son, should he become world champion. But it's also Nico's championship if he wins too. So I felt very much that I'd done my thing, but I did also feel that this was a kind of thank you as well to my dad.
And you're happy to share that with Nico?
The more the merrier in our gang. It's nice to have been the first and it's nice to be the only one, but if he wants to join the club, he's very welcome.
You'll see much more of that on both Saturday and Sunday in our build-up shows. And on Sunday during the race, Damon is going to be talking to us live from the Mercedes garage.
In his polo neck.
I don't think he's wearing a polo neck here. It's a little bit warm for a polo neck.
We never know.
Yeah, I mean, there is a symmetry, isn't there? It would be, as Damon was saying, 34 years between his first. It would be kind of a weird one, wouldn't it?
It would be, but again, it would be brilliant. Again, all sort of the history that his father has had, as in Graham, and then equally so with Keke as well. It'd be a brilliant thing to happen. I think it'd be great for Formula 1 as well.
Okay.
It's a different champion, and he's been consistent all year. You can't do any more than that, can you?
Of course you can't. No, again, he's done everything that he's needed to do. He's got a very strong mindset of how he was going to go about this year. Very different, I think, than we've seen before. And at the moment, it's been paying off.
Kept coming back, Lewis, didn't he? That's the thing. It's the tenacity.
Yeah, and he's beaten him fair and square as well. It's not just he's sort of been lucky. He's actually been fair and square.
I hope he's got some family here this weekend. He says not, but I really hope they come and surprise him, because that'd be awful if they weren't here to celebrate with.
Touching away in the Yes Hotel behind us. Right, okay, here are the details for the rest of the weekend you need to remember. Practice 3 is from 9:45, qualifying on air at 12, which is 4 o'clock local, at 5 p.m. For the beginning pits of Q1. We'll be on air with the track parade just on Sky Sports F1, but we're simulcasting Sky Sports F1 and Sky Sports 2 for the whole of the race show.
Well, you've been trying to spot which boat you're going on tonight, so we need to go and investigate, but do make sure you join us for a thrilling weekend for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.